Hey, pilot, welcome to Ready for Pushback. I'm Nik Fialka. It's another interview show. My guest today is a gentleman named Davis Darnell, who is a high-time prop duster. We talk about the Blue Angels a little bit. He's the Brown Angel. He's amazing. He does a legit fly-in. It's a long, awesome conversation about how fun prop dusting is. I loved this conversation, and it's long. It's so long that I'm dividing it up into 2 episodes, and this is episode 1. Episode 2 will air next Monday, and it's a great conversation. And if you know anybody that is into prop dusting, wants to get into tailwheel flying or any of that, this is the place. This is a great episode, and I loved it. So sit back, relax. Let's get ready for Pushback.
It all started as a spark. Maybe it was the sound of jets racing across the sky. Or the feeling of your heart racing as you watch a crop duster flying low and slow. Even then, you knew you were meant to fly. For pilots, it's more than just a job. It's a calling. The early mornings, the long hours, the relentless training, you didn't do it for the money. You did it for that moment. That moment when the wheels lift off and the earth falls away beneath you. But flying is just the beginning. The journey to your dream job takes more than just skill in the sky. It takes strategy on the ground and a lifetime of learning.
Most pilots don't understand what career opportunities are available in the world of aviation. Learn how to go from good to great, from flight school to regional to major, and from hopeful to hired. Whether you're sharpening your skills, building your resume, or preparing for that big interview, this is where pilots come to level up. Let's get ready for Pushback. Here's your host and my dad, Nik Fialka.
All right, Davis Darnell. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Man, I'm doing well. It is good to be with you. Good to be on the podcast.
Man, you've got the best voice. I bet everybody listening right now is like, yeah, what's up? Where's this guy from? Where are you from?
I'm excited. I'm from Glen Allan, Mississippi. It is a super small town in the Mississippi Delta.
All right. Did you grow up there?
Born and raised.
And you're a pilot?
I'm a 3rd generation crop duster.
Dude, 3rd generation?
3rd gen.
Good gosh. So your grandfather started flying crop dusting?
He did, in a Super Cub.
Do you still have it?
No, we don't. Unfortunately. Man. I know. You always turn loose of things along the way, and 50 years later, you're like, man.
Yeah, that's why I have so many tchotchkes around my house. I'm like, one day, eBay's going to really want that.
That's right.
Man, or
that's
me
right.
back. That's right. That's why I have this old piece of crap truck. I can't even stomach to get rid of it. Dude, tell me about crop dusting. So hold on. Before you tell me about crop dusting, you listen to this show, right?
That's right. I do.
How did we meet? Tell everybody how we met.
So I started listening to the show and was listening to all the conventions y'all go to. I ended up going to RTAG in Denver and got in your line at Spitfire just to meet you, really. And I was like, man, I gotta, that was a highlight for me. So we got in line and, the guys looking over the resumes were like, man, I've got to get Nik over here to look at this resume. And I said, listen, that's kind of why I'm here. And
the first thing you told me, do you remember the first thing you told me?
Refresh me.
You said, hey, I like that new intro. However.
That's right. Yeah. Well, yeah, my wife kind of gave me grief about that. She's like, he's going to hate you. I said,
no, I love it.
Well,
all right. So
I want him to be legit because, it's a legit podcast.
Yeah. So the new intro has a video of a crop duster, right?
That's right.
But you don't like it.
Well, so here's the thing. It's really any pilot. It's not a crop duster thing. Like any flying movie, you go watch it and you're like, this isn't right, that isn't right, this isn't right,
Yep.
And even in the new Twister movie, there's a crop duster in there and the sound's not right. And you're like, come on, guys, we're talking about unlimited budgets, So I liked your other intro with your daughter, and of course she's still on there, but still, got the crop duster thrown in there, and I was like, man, I liked it. The jet's flying high or low. And I got fired up about it until I heard the sound. And I was like, man, that's a radial, brother, not a turbine.
Or the feeling of your heart racing as you watch a crop duster flying low and slow. Even then, you knew you were meant to fly.
That's right.
But that's all right. We're going to fix it.
We're going to fix it because you're going to send me the sound, right?
I am. I actually was watching your videos last night. I didn't really like that I'm going to be following a Blue Angel, but I guess I'll take what I can get, But you got to make the best of it, right? But I was watching it, trying to figure out which one it was to know which sound bite to send you. But I think it's a 502.
It's very specific, buddy. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, the small ones is kind of backwards of what you would think. The smaller ones are loud because they only have 3 blades, and the big motors have 5 blades and they turn slower, so they're quieter. So it's kind of backwards of what you would think. But I'm gonna take care of you.
That's so good. So good. All right, dude. How many hours do you have in your crop duster?
I have about 10,000 hours tailwheel ag. That's turbine, PIC, single seat, no autopilot, tailwheel flying.
You're basically like my Harrier guys.
Right.
Single seating it.
That's right. But to me, I'm just shy of 13,000 total because I've done some, you got to learn and then build up and flight instruct and pay your way through, right? But to me, that's not a lot. Like all of our mentors are 30 and 40,000.
Oh.
And so we're like just getting broke in, really. Like we're the young guys,
And how long have you been doing it?
So I just finished my 16th spraying season.
Wow.
I'm 35. I started flying the turbine at 19.
Wow.
So crop dusting, yeah. But
now it's single seat.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about being 19 years old, jumping in single seat and like letting it rip.
Yeah, it's that's a big part of it, right? Well, my flying journey started oddly anyway. So like in Mississippi, especially in the Delta, there's not much to do. And like as a kid, a rite of passage is like getting old enough to go to work with your dad. That's like quality time, And so as soon as my brother and I got old enough, we were going to the airport, 4:30 in the morning, getting ready to rock for the day and loading airplanes, following him around, doing whatever we could do, And but all he had was one, his turbine plane. That was it. And like that was something Dad did, but we didn't think about doing it. It's just something Dad did, And we didn't have any personal, people planes or nothing. So one day we come home and he's like, I'm thinking about buying a Citabria. What do y'all think? And I'm like, wham, yeah, let's do it. So I was in high school at the time. My brother was actually at Ole Miss, which is we're about 2.5 hours from Oxford, probably where we are.
So
that's right. So he bought us a Citabria, and I started learning in high school in it. And then my brother was actually learning in Oxford in a 172. Just, you want to learn where you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And anyway, so I had to go back in my logbook to refresh, some of my first flights. But my instructor was an old school, fly anything, tailwheel, just awesome guy. And I was looking back in my logbook. We did spins on the 3rd flight, and I soloed with 5 hours. Yes. So I was like, good grief, spins. But it was spins on the 3rd flight. He said nobody should solo an airplane if they don't know how to get out of a spin.
I agree.
And so, it was just baptism by fire,
I feel like that guy had a big dip in when he was teaching you.
He could do it. boy, he could do it. And
Man.
so I flew the Citabria all in high school, just building up a bunch of cross country time, a lot of, just experience. And I actually would fly to all of our like sporting events for like my high school at the time. And like my friends would pick me up, or my friends' parents would pick me. We're talking about a class of like 14 now at my high
Yeah.
school. So somebody would just pick me up, and I would fly to everything. That was just the joke. Somebody's gonna have to pick him up off the side of the road. But we would every week I would tell my daddy like, hey, we're going to here. And he would start out by trying to find the closest airport. If there wasn't an airport, he'd go to like an ag strip looking on Google Earth. And if it wasn't an ag strip, he'd just go to the longest turn road and find me somewhere to go. And I would. It's crazy. Thinking back, 16, 17, it's at night, we would land during the day. We're taking off at night after ball games,
We're not talking like 1955 landing on in the middle and there's no population. Like, I cannot believe you're landing on like straight roads in the middle of nowhere.
I know. And it's crazy thinking back. I mean, it's no foreflight, right? We're just on maps, go to this city and go to the north just a little bit, land behind the school,
Oh my gosh.
And we did. It was fine. But so I did all that training, had a pretty good bit of time, cross country time too. We were flying to Oxford on the weekends and, just everything. And so when it came check ride time, I couldn't find anybody to do my check ride in my Citabria. So my dad was like, well, we'll have to go to Oxford where your brother is. And I'd never flown anything but this one airplane. So I was like, man, I'm gonna get to fly a 4-seat Cessna. That was an upgrade. I thought. And man, I pulled out on the Oxford runway, all the nice markings. I've just been flying on grass, and man, shoved the power in for the first time, and I was sorely disappointed. I was just like, oh boy, your feet can pretty much be on the floor with this thing. And yeah, I was disappointed. But that's what I ended up doing my private in, was that 172 there. I flew it a couple of hours and, took my check ride. And,
yeah, I guess if you're getting you're getting kicked in the pants and having fun, like flying real stuff, and then you got to switch over to a 172. It's a pretty big letdown.
Right. So, I had the flying bug. That's putting it, mildly. I loved it. So, there's a school in the Delta State University. They're like, the premier in our area of flight schools, 141. I had no idea what 141 meant. Zero. And so when I was getting ready to do like visits and stuff, my mom had reached out to a couple of people, and she was like, look, there's this small flight school in Raymond, Hines Community College, and they're part 61. I think you may want to go over there. Let's just go visit. And I'm like, I have no idea what this means. Okay. This is mama looking out for me. Right.
Yeah.
So we go, and the chief is like, look, you got all the hours. All you need to do is come here and fly. We can bang your ratings out quick. And if you go 141, it's going to take you years and years. Not that there's anything wrong with 141. That's their process. But he was like, you don't fit there. You fit here. And I was like, and I still didn't know what that meant. But I tell you, they had a 172R that had leather seats. And I was like, man, that's the first time. Man, they got leather seats.
Is this a private jet?
That's right. I was like, man, sold me on the leather, baby. Let's do it. So,
but also, I do want to say that you like finding a sage person like that. And also, I feel like that happens in Mississippi, where there's a person that just like, hey, son, this is right. Like, this is where you need to be planted right now.
Exactly right. So I graduated in May, from high school. June 1, I was at Hines flying those leather seats. And I went, got my instrument, commercial, CFI, double I in a semester.
Oh my God.
And so I had my CFI at 18 and I started working at Heinz. And my mentor was just like, I told you I
See?
could use you. And I was like, you were right, man. And
Man.
so I was, going to school on campus with the same people I was instructing. And then, coming to the airport. And it helped me. It helped them too, because I knew,
Yeah.
all that was fresh on my mind, even school stuff. I was tutoring people in astronomy, algebra, helping them pass their writtens. I mean, we were just all in. And it was really fun, the camaraderie, and, it was a good time.
Why don't you
So,
come on up to Georgia and you can teach me those things too?
so that was so we're building up to the ag deal.
Yeah.
I had been begging Dad, like, man, because we had a King Air at Heinz, and I was flying the King Air, and with the same mentor guy, Mr. Randy was his name. He took care of me, man, and I would fly left seat, and which was fine because, like, on paper, I had a bunch of experience. It was just my age people were turned off by,
Yeah.
So as long as they didn't know that, see, this gray, benefits me,
The beard.
Yeah. So I was flying the King Air, and I was like, Dad, come on, I can do the turbine, man. Just let me fly it. He was like, I don't know, man. It's really hard to get on insurance for those airplanes.
Yep.
And it's the same. It's just like any industry. You got to have time to get on it. Well, how do you get the time?
Yep.
And so I'm trying to get turbine time, trying to do this, trying to do that. I'm flying, some Part 91 Saratogas and Barons, and I loved it. If I wasn't flying, it was like I had to go find another airplane to add to the list, And so that's what, that all led up to me gaining a lot of experience and the King Air turbine stuff. And finally I told Dad, I was like, look, I've got to do it. And he was always, go get your degree. There's way more in the world than this, typical dad,
That's a good dad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I was doing all that. I'm just like, man, come on. He said, well, look, you've done everything I've asked you to do. If you're going to do this, I'm going to teach you myself, or we're going to do it right. And I said, let's do it, and he did. He taught me ag. And like you said, it's a single seat, right? So you have ground lessons about what you're going to do. And then we would go out to the field with a handheld radio, and he'd watch me do it, And
he would give you feedback while you're doing it?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. You got to walk me through the process of being a crop duster. If you're getting up at 4:00 in the morning, like, are you flying till like 9:00 at night? What are you doing?
Yes. So, and I'm speaking on where I am in Mississippi. Now, this changes across the country because the weather patterns are different. The seasons are different. My brother lived in Ecuador for a while, and they grow, their climate's the same all the time, right? So they're literally farming 24/7. So it's different. But where we are, we have seasons of growing, so we'll have a fallow time during the winter where everybody's prepping their fields and getting their field work done. They're not growing anything because it's about to get cold, but they're getting prepared, and we help them do that. Once they get all their field work done, we'll make applications to keep the weeds and stuff from growing back. And then in the spring, they're planting, and we help still keep weed pressure back, but also we'll start fertilizing crops as they start coming up. That could be mostly dry applications on that. And then as the crop grows, what they need from you changes. So at first, we may help it get to growing and help it, keep the weeds down. Because if you're trying to farm in a grown up mess, it takes away from your yield potential, because that's so many more stealing your nutrients, right? So you want to keep it clean where all that soil potential is going straight into your plant. So we do that, and then as they grow, the needs change. Well, now bugs come into play, or fungus comes into play, or all these other things come into play, and all during the year, everything we do is time sensitive. That's why it's important that we can do it fast, because everything is under the gun.
Okay, so you've got an entire, basically a year where each section of the year
Correct.
there's different applications.
That's right, and it's a time crunch all the time, because you're covering so many acres for so many people that all want the same thing right then.
And you're one aircraft show.
I am at my place, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Walk me through a typical day. Like what does it look like and what does it take? Because I have seen a crop duster fly over the interstate over my head. That is
Mhm.
as close as I've ever been to a crop duster.
I understand. So we have a schedule, okay?
Okay.
And it's mind-boggling all the things going on inside that cockpit that we're having to plan for, okay? And this is a sneak peek of like our tag telling me I don't have crew time. It's like, man, if they only knew, you know, like all
Yeah.
the planning, all the crews I work with, flying fields with multiple planes in the same field that you can't even talk to. You're just watching them, and you know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you have a list, okay? And you're looking at your schedule and you're like, okay, where do I need to be when? And you're trying to plan your day. I'm talking about daylight to dark day, full day. Where do I need to be? What will it benefit me to be here or there? Trying to plan around schools, churches, highways. Like you're going to be visible all day. Where can I make the least impact negatively on my surroundings? Right. I mean, every day you're planning. Like, okay, if I go over here, I'm gonna go over here at daylight because the road won't be busy yet. You don't want to go over there at 8 o'clock, right? Or we're not going to go over here on Sunday because they may be having church and we don't want to be buzzing around the church. So, so
That is surprisingly super considerate.
Yeah, your mind is constantly working about where do I need to be when, and try to take care of everybody at the same time, right? So we get there and we start just nibbling on that list, trying to go wherever we can, you know. Well, you also got to think about wind direction.
Oh.
That is every job we do, we've got to consider what's around. That's adjacent crops. There's so many things, and you got to consider the wind direction. So it's not only the impact it's going to have on, what's around it as far as like roads, people.
Is there kind of a formula that you work off? Like, hey, the winds are out of this direction at this many knots. I need to start spraying here and stop spraying there so there's no drift and things like that.
Yes, and it's experience is that formula. And yes, everybody learns that by experience. Yes. And if you can learn from others, that's better than finding out for yourself.
Yeah.
So that is the workload. That is all what's going on. And this is happening before daylight. Like you're in the office and you're figuring out, which way are we going? Every farmer's using probably a little different mixture, depending on what their company sells. So we've got to get all that organized. We've got to figure out where we're going with what and what amounts, and get all that ready to go before daylight. And then
so you've got chemicals, right? So you're delivering and some, from what I get, is like some are like liquid and some are dry like powder.
Correct.
Okay. And then you have them at your airfield, and you go from you fill up at your airfield and go to a certain spot and drop and then come back.
Yeah, so we don't store anything. Like we're not storage, but they bring what they need for that job. We use it, and then, it's gone.
Okay.
And they have, consultants that help. Sometimes the companies themselves bring, the stuff. And yes, so we have a main airport that we do liquid work off of.
Okay.
So we can carry bigger loads when we're talking about liquid. Now with dry, we work all those off turn rows and satellite strips so we can get close as we can because it could be like hundreds of takeoff and landings to get that dry work done. And so you try to get as close as possible to the field to where, you can do it quicker and not just ferry and burn more fuel.
Oh yeah.
So that's the scheduling part. That's not the fun part. The fun part's flying, right? And
Okay.
so that is the big gap between being an operator and being a pilot. Okay. So, the operator is, every pilot wants to be an operator until they are one most of the time. And they're like, oh gosh, I had it way better when I was just getting paid to fly and not having to deal with anything, you know? But so the pilot side is like where you can kind of sit and relax, really. Like all that mind boggling stuff is done. Now it's time to just go out and rip. And, so the airplane, you figured your loads based on density, altitude, length of your strip, all the same things you would do normally, temperature, and then you're going to figure your loads out that way. And once again, that's by experience,
Oh my God.
And depending on the day, someday it's going to fly better than others. We push it right on the edge of the envelope, right? And you got to learn that plane and know, hey, in January, I may can carry it full. But in June through August, I'm going to have to back off a little bit. And so we've got GPS systems on our planes, okay? And there's a light bar on the nose that's giving you guidance, all right? So, but it's all hand-flown. Everything's, us. So we'll dive in the field. There's all different kind of patterns, but essentially you lay what's called an AB line. And that draws a circle pretty much around the globe and then gives you guidance down to a foot on your light bar. So my maneuvering speed, I fly 602, an air tractor 602. My maneuvering speed's 162. So that's what
Pretty
I'm.
quick.
It ain't bad. It's not bad. It's not. I mean, I realize it's slow for jet comparison, but going in and around and under obstacles, 162 is just, that's not, it's not 80 for sure like it used to be. But so I try to keep it around maneuvering speed.
I mean, that's as fast as a Ferrari.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. So we're going out to the field, figuring out how we're going to set our AB. And once we set it, it gives us guidance on that pass down to a foot. And so we're just making that pass. We pull out, turn around, click, and advance. And we do it over and over again all the way across.
And so you're doing wing overs for your turns, right?
Yes.
Do you do kind of a pedal drop? Like, do you push in the rudder and drop the nose, or do you let it come around and keep it balanced?
So you obviously always want to be coordinated, right?
Sure.
Yes.
The helicopter guy in me doesn't.
Yeah, well, they scare me when they stop in the air and turn around, because the helicopter guys can sure enough turn them around. So depending on your turn, like a back-to-back turn is more like you make your first primary turn downwind, get your spacing right. You want to come back into the wind where you have aid, the wind helping you. And then you would do more of it, but a racetrack pattern is what you refer to like wing overs. Okay. And that's coming up out of the field, turning one direction, doing a wing over and rolling it straight back in. And with bigger airplanes, that's actually easier because you're not having to fight that thing around multiple turns. Just, you know what I'm saying? It's easier just to pull it up and let that prop do the work. Let it pull it around and just point it back in and rip. Yes.
You should put some guns on there. That'd be wild. So you're doing these patterns, and I see with the powder, with the dry stuff, you're keeping it close. With the liquid, you can carry. It's easier to carry because you can carry a heavier load.
That's right. More acres at a time.
How long's a bag of gas last?
So if I fill mine up, which when I'm doing liquid, I don't, because I'm not going to be out there that long, and I'm trying to keep it lighter.
Okay.
it's actually pretty wild. But my fueling system on my airplane is a Hatfield like auto fuel, and both wings I have a low, medium, and a high on both sides. And so if I'm running really close to the strip, I can just put them on low, and it's single point. It's single point behind the cockpit because we're trying to keep people off the wings and away from the prop while it's running, because we just leave it running all day. And so they can just walk up behind the cockpit and hook it up.
Yeah.
And then like mine, I can tell it what I want. Whenever it gets there, it turns off automatically.
Oh, that's cool.
And then you don't have to worry about overflows or overfills while your guys are doing other stuff, cleaning the windshield or pumping the load in. It's pretty nice. It'll spoil you, really. And
I mean, it's like you're a full service gas station.
it is. It
It's
is.
amazing.
It is. So I keep it low most of the time, just so I can be lighter, carry more, turn faster.
Are you listening to music or a podcast while you're doing this? Are you not allowed to? Like, are you not supposed to say, I don't know?
Look, back when I started, XM radio receivers were a big thing.
Oh yeah.
Like if you didn't have one of those, man, you hadn't made it.
Oh.
You had to have it sitting on the dash, wired into your helmet, and you would just sit there and rock. So now I think I've heard every song that's available ever.
I know.
So that's ready. That's where Ready for Pushback comes in, man. I started in the beginning, and just days upon days upon days,
buddy,
got caught way up. So yeah,
Listen.
podcast kind of took over for me, just because music just got to where I wasn't even hearing it anymore. It was just playing, but I couldn't even tell you a song I listened to all day. It's just background noise.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoy listening to podcasts. Sometimes I sit in peace and quiet because I have 3 kids at home,
Yeah.
and I'll just sit up there and just listen to the turbine hum.
Yeah, that's a good thing, dude.
It is.
Gosh, that is a good thing. I know you're thinking about airline stuff, but at least you don't have some weirdo just sitting next to you, like not saying anything, or like some dude that wants to pep up and talk about some bullshit you don't want to talk about.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
You get to fly with your favorite pilot all the time.
So yeah, that's right. So I have friends, that are flying in airlines and FedEx and stuff, and I talk to them, and they're like, "Man, I just get in there and I tell them I'm from Mississippi, I have 3 kids, and I don't want to talk." I say, well, I guess everybody gets to that point,
Listen, I want to meet those guys. That's amazing. I don't like, other than people living in Atlanta, I don't fly with enough people from like the deep South, right? Like when I lived in Tuscaloosa, like there were a couple pilots over there. I was like, all right, these are my people.
That's right. Good. Man. So that's the flying on the ag side. It's a lot of hours. So we aren't, we don't have duty times because we police ourselves. So 137 doesn't have, like crew rest and stuff. And that's because the NAAA, our national association, just goes to bat and fights for us. We have training every year that we do, for recertification. And we talk about safety topics. We talk about what's going on in the industry. We talk about changes. And that's every January before we start the year off. And Mississippi actually everybody kind of looks at what we do because we're an annual recertification. So it's pretty neat to be involved in that and try to help the industry. And because of that, we can get a little break on the crew, the regulatory side, because we patrol ourselves.
Yeah, listen, you're in a special spot, and protect that with everything.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Because it's just so everything's sporadic in this industry, and it would just be hard. It'd be hard.
More regulation. Yeah, more regulation makes things more expensive and less doable.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
All right. So tell me some stories about hitting stuff, Bo. I know you have. I know you hit all the things. Probably hit a cow.
I can't say too much. I don't know if the statute of limitations is up, but So I guess you would say complacency, right? Your Blue Angel guest talked about that they had a year where nobody rolled on the team and they're sitting there
Brandon.
doing those maneuvers and
Yeah.
his mind's wandering. And you would think, how in the world could that even happen? But I do it, like I'm sitting there flying underline. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's crazy.
I am literally like, you are literally like, you've got 5 times more hours than Brandon did. And he listens to the show, and I'll put you guys side to side, man. I love it. I love it.
So, complacency. We always tell people, like, your first and third year are the most dangerous. It's the first you don't know anything, and the third year you think you know everything.
Mm-hmm.
And, and the NAAA's done studies about your 500 hours in tight being the most dangerous, regardless of total time. And so these are just things we look out for. It's like, hey, starting out, or do you know it all? And if you're getting in a new airplane, those first 500 are dangerous. So, take extra caution. But
every military guy and girl listening right now is nodding their head. They're listening. They're like, yep. Oh yeah.
Right. Yep. So all the old school guys say it's not if, but when. And we try to not say that anymore. We try to, you know what I mean? But yes, I've had a lot of experiences. And from when I was young, it was from just pushing it too hard. Just pushing it too hard. I had a reputation for doing a good job and getting it in places that maybe other people's wouldn't or couldn't. And that's always going to bite you, man. When you fly right on the edge of that envelope and push it all the time, it only takes one little slip and something can happen. Hitting power lines is a common thing, but that's because you don't see them. You cannot see those wires.
You got wire cutters on that thing?
I got a 5-blade wire cutter.
All right.
But they do make them on the front of the gear. It's a kind of probably the last 10 years or so, they made some pretty thick metal that's angled and that go down your gear legs, because that's where your brake lines is running down your gear legs to your, mains, and it helps. They actually cut a tower off with them. Guy hit a tower at the tip of the tower and it cut it off. He went back and landed. Sure did.
Whew.
Anyway, so, we hit the wires because you can't see them, right? Not for fun, but you know what I mean? But now towers are hard to see. The guy wires that string them up, hard to see. And a lot of times you can get just, it's a lot going on in there. And there's no room for error. And you're, it's dangerous. And I generally was flying about 800 hours of ag a year, generally. Wow. And that's a lot of exposure, and that's 800 in, sometimes 6 months, 7 months. I'm trying to think, I've hit trees from getting too close, and that's just me. That's my, that's what I always try to teach the people below me. They're like, look, if the wind's blowing away from that tree line, you're not going to get it in there anyway. Stay away from it. I was going to try to get it, I was going to get it in there, and after you buy a couple of wing tips, $7-8 grand a piece, it gets into your pocket, That's how I learned my lessons financially, like, but, and it's all to do with mentoring. You alluded to the single seat thing early on. This is no IOE involved in this. This is, my dad's exact words when I first started was like, hey, this is it. You tear it up. We're done, And I was like, okay, no pressure.
No pressure.
Here I go.
All right, pilots, that's a wrap on this episode, and I know what you're thinking. You need to make yourself a little bit better. So how do you make yourself a little bit better? You tighten up your resume. So here's what I want you to do.
go over to my website, spitfireelite.com/podcast, and you can download my free resume template. It is tight, organized, and it's the perfect pilot resume. It's just something I like to do for the pilot group, and it is free to you. So go over there, spitfireelite.com/podcast, and download your free resume template. While you're over there, look at all the services that we offer. Lots of great interview prep, lots of great application review. Everything you need to be a professional pilot is right there. spitfireelite.com/podcast. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next episode.
This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not constitute professional advice. The producers and sponsors make no representations or warranties regarding the accuracy, completeness, or applicability of the content.